Hello and welcome to another daily devotion. As this week we talk about putting our prayers into practice, and this week manifests itself in terms of personnel team and how they work. Well, here's the hardest part about being on personnel is personnel deals with the behind the scenes and sometimes overt conflicts that happen within the church. And as a lay member, that can be very challenging because you know individuals from a Sunday morning atmosphere or from a firsthand interaction, but don't always see some of the behind the scene things that happen. And when you have a staff of 10 to 15 people, you're bound to have some human conflicts. When Moses goes up to Mount Sinai to talk to God and receive the commandments, Aaron decides, yeah, we don't need to wait for Moses. We'll just fashion a golden calf. We'll worship this thing. It's nice and glittery. When Moses gets married to Zipporah, a Canaanite who is darker complected than Moses and the Israelites, Miriam, his sister, and Aaron grumble. And in fact, they don't like the way Moses tends to lead the people. And God steps in and has a little heart-to-heart with Miriam and with Aaron. You see, even when we're family, even when we're close, sometimes there can be human reactions, envy, resentment, bitterness, lack of recognition, lack of communication, frustration, not feeling heard. Did you ever feel that way in any job you've ever had? Well, though we don't often think about people serving the church as having a job, this is their vocation, and they're human beings like anybody else, and they go through a lot of those human interactions with each other, and all of us sometimes have good days and bad. The church has a staff covenant, which we try to live into, recognizing that we're not a business world, a corporate world, but that we are people that are grounded in faith. And as such, try to treat, support, and be prayerful in how we interact with one another and direct with one another. One of the greatest gifts that the personnel team then has, and also challenges, are recognizing a staff member's gifts, but then also giving them and the resources and recognizing and not misallocating the skill set of somebody who might be extremely talented in, producing a song, but we have them sweeping the floors. Those skill sets are mismatched and not maximizing the God-given potential that a person has in their skill set. So one of the challenges is trying to recognize the gifts and talents each of our people here have and trying to let them use those gifts and talents. Another challenge that the personnel team has is thinking about how church and culturally how people view church has changed over the years. So how do we think about how we staff our church, not just for this moment, but for future days, and adapting to the changes where most people aren't going to just come to a church if you build a good program or you have good staff. You've got to find ways to meet them where they are, and staff who are willing to do so, to get out of the boxes and mold of church from the 1950s that worked for a long time after the war, and big educational wings grew up and churches blossomed in size during the baby boom, but then since have tapered off and kind of gone downhill, no matter what your denomination, as culture changes and the way people interact change. So one of personnel's greatest challenges is not only dealing with conflict openly, honestly, at the same time holding confidences and not telling everybody everything that's going on, because you can't do that, in fairness to people's professionalism. But the other side of it is thinking about the church's mission and how these staff enable the congregation to live into a new day as the church reach new people for Christ and grow the church in mission, in number, and in spirit. And I think we have a dynamic personnel team right now who listens first, who is strong in prayer and connectivity, and full of grace. So I thank you for them. And any who consider this very strong responsibility to the church. It's one of the best ways I think you can serve the church. It's also one of the most difficult, to walk with staff through their challenges, their struggles, and their joys, recognizing them, listening to them, supporting them, and challenging them for the betterment of the whole body.